I'll start. I had the good fortune of meeting an amazing man named Doug Jones. He and I met over coffee a couple of years ago, and we got to chit-chatting, and by the end of that nice first meeting, he said, I always wanted to have a son. That was always a dream of mine, and if you ever write something where I get to play your dad, I want to do it. So this has been a long journey from start to end, and the finished product is something we're both very proud of. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, for Traitor, to say the obvious, the state of the world we're in right now is pretty divided, but the tagline is "The enemy is still human," and I wanted to remind you of that because you just saw the dark tale with an optimistic, hopeful ending. And speaking of Doug Jones, live long and prosper.
So quick question for Pretty Boys. Your conversation with Doug happens, right? And then obviously you're like, okay, let's make this happen. How did their process start? And then for the specific story, why this particular story and not any other story?
Yeah, this script took a while for me. I think 16 drafts. Before I really found the story I wanted to tell. I knew I wanted to do something funny and really showcase Doug's humor and incredible acting. But the more I got to know Doug, the more I just saw how wholesome and kind and wonderfully gifted he is at so many things. And I really wanted to turn him into this A-lister character. And even though his character's kind of a washed-up movie star in the story, I've always thought of Doug Jones as a movie star ever since I was little. And I just wanted to create this story about these two actors who are trying to, get their careers back on track and get their relationship back on track. And something I love so much about Doug is that he makes you feel like he's part of your family. And that he is your family. So I wanted to tell this really sweet reconciliation story between this father and son who haven't spoken in a long time. And you can really see just the wonder and magic of Doug Jones in this film. And it really is as much of a love letter to him as it is to filmmaking and all the people who were part of it.
You guys were absolutely fun to watch, by the way. It was super funny.
Thank you.
For Traitors, what I was curious about was, because I know that this was sort of supposed to be a futuristic war that was occurring, but what I took notice about that, it wasn't so much like the flying cars or anything too zany like this. This was a really realistic tale. And then something that stuck with me was that we often don't get to see men in vulnerable roles, especially, or at least they're not portrayed that way that often, especially soldiers who are supposed to be macho and strong. And they're in some of the most vulnerable situations in life. How difficult was it for you to showcase that vulnerability in a way that it hadn't been done before?
Well, I had really great actors, so that part of it made it easy. But our main character is at his breaking point, and he's lost everything, and by a miracle, he gets his soul back. And that to me is the most vulnerable place to be, is what is the best part of your spiritual self when no one's looking? If you believe in God, what does God tell you to do? And that to me is vulnerability, and that that is who Dr. Reynolds is, and that's who I hope we can all be, if need be. God forbid.
Second part to that, were there any tactics you had to employ on any of the actors at all? Were there any tactics you had to employ on the actors to get them into a headspace sometimes? Working with actors, I know sometimes it's easier to tap in at other days than it isn't. So were there any tactics that you had to use personally?
Well, I'm a Meisner trained actor myself, and so they always tell actors take writing classes and writers take acting classes and vice versa. But my motto as a director is, once I cast the actor, it's not my character anymore; it's our character. And so we had meetings together with me and each actor on an individual basis and talk about the backstory. I gave my actors a lot of two of them right here, gave them a lot of creative freedom to make up their motivations, and then I didn't have to direct them all that much. I'm a sort of minimalist that way. Excuse me, I'm like asleep today. But it worked out great, and I wouldn't change anything about it.
Absolutely. Next question for Pretty Boys. if given the budget and they said, you know, we wanted to continue the story, would you choose to have your film become a full-length feature, or would you do an episodic, and why?
Oh yeah, I would love to do a feature film version of Pretty Boys. I love a good road trip film. I love a good father-son film. If you guys have seen the Goofy movie, this short is basically this is a rip-off of the Goofy movie. There's a part at the end of the Goofy movie where dad and son are at the fork in the road and they have to choose one way or the other. That literally happens in this short. I love a good wholesome father-son road trip, and something I really want to explore in an expanded story is sort of it being a love letter to Hollywood and to actors who are struggling in post-COVID world and filmmakers who are trying to still keep their lives afloat. And there's one staple that I know that will make the feature, which is that Bob Silver and Bobby end up at this just torn down bar that's this biker gang's bar that they've laid claim to, and they are in a Shakespeare biker gang club. It's former actors who are completely out of work, but they just decided to form this crazy club of biker gang Shakespeare actors. So I really just want it to be kind of a ragtag love story to performers and to filmmakers. So that's kind of the dream, and of course to kind of contain those two characters to the same character arcs that are in the short.
And for Traitors, the same question.
For Traitor, absolutely not. No. Traitor is the end. The end. I mean, I know exactly what happens afterwards. If you want to know what happens afterwards, come find me afterwards. I'll tell you. But no, I told the story I wanted to tell. That's it. I do not want to make a feature out of this. Let alone, I don't want that to happen in real life.
No, I love that. Seriously, could you please give both of these incredible filmmakers a feature? Thank you for sharing your hearts with us as well, and thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting this. It's extremely important to support independent filmmaking. Seriously, without you guys being here, without these guys sharing themselves with us, honestly, filmmaking would cease to exist outside of big budgets and all that other stuff. But thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
That being said, please remember to vote. We need you guys to vote. We need you guys to vote. You're at a festival. You're here to enjoy films, but please, please, please vote. Give these gentlemen the encouragement they need to keep going.